Hello, my friends. Good Erev Shabbos. Happy Friday. Fall be wonderful, beautiful, uplifting, restful, and above all, inspirational Shabbos Kodesh. This week's Parsha, Parshas Devarim, is actually the beginning of the new book, Sefer Devarim, the last book of the Torah. Sefer Devarim is really a summation of everything that happened over the last 40 years to the Jewish people, and Moshe's last testament. Moshe is telling the Jewish people, this is what you've done wrong throughout these years. This is what's going to happen to you if you don't correct your ways. In other words, he was very, very harsh to the Jewish people at the end of his life. You would think, at the end of his life, he wants to be nice to them. He wants them to remember him for good things. He wants to show them how much he loves them, how much he cares for them. In Sefer Mishlei, written by King Solomon, he tells us that a person who is mochiach, who gives rebuke, is the one who will help that person be better. Whereas someone who is machlik lashon, who is a smooth talker, and never tells someone what they need to hear, only tells them what they want to hear, he's really their enemy. We all know as parents. We all know as parents, and no responsible parent is never going to rebuke their children. No responsible parent is ever going to tell their children everything's fine no matter what. When the teacher calls and the child misbehaved, no responsible parent is going to say it's okay, dear, and pat him that you're a good kid. Don't listen to anybody else, because we all know you're destroying the child. A good parent will rebuke their child and punish the child and teach your child the difference between right and wrong. But they'll do it with love. And in the long run, even though sometimes the child will be angry with the parent, in the long run the child will know, this parent did the best for me. And it's because of this parent that I know how to take care of myself. And I know the difference between right and wrong. We've entered into a very harsh time on the Jewish calendar. This is the month of Av. Coincidentally, although there's no such thing as coincidence, the word Av means father. But yet, this is the time that Hashem shows us He can be tough. This is a time of mourning. This whole for the 9 days leading up until Tisha B'Av, we don't eat meat except for Shabbos. We don't drink wine except for Shabbos. We don't get haircuts. We don't listen to music. It's a time of recognizing the tragedies that have befallen our people. It's a time of mourning, and then it ends with Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the ultimate day of Jewish tragedy and Jewish mourning. It's a 25-hour fast from the night before till the next night. It is a day that we sit on the floor like mourners. It is a day that we cry and reflect over the greatest losses the Jewish people have ever had, and that is the first and second Batei Mikdashos, the first and second temples. But it's also the day that is called Bikar Alai Moed. You should call it, for me, a holiday. What? Hashem said that it's considered a holiday of sorts. Why is it a holiday? Because Hashem is showing us His love. Hashem is showing us His love. As I said, a parent that only does good and only gives his children what the children want and never what the children need is not a good parent. But when a parent sometimes has to be harsh on the child and punish a child and shake the child up, the child is getting what they need. I heard an old parable. It just came to me now to tell you the truth. But you have a kid who crosses a street against traffic and almost gets hit by a car. And everybody sees this, a crowd of people, and everybody passes the child, yells at the child, "How can you be so irresponsible? And why are you being careful?" But then one person comes up and slaps the child. And everybody knows who that one person is. The father. Only the father cares. And of course, only the father is able to do this without getting into trouble. But only the father cares enough to slap the child. To tell the child, you made a horrible mistake and I'm going to give you something so you don't forget about it too quickly. Everybody else yells at the child and moves on. But the father is so shaken up by this horrible mistake that the child made, he slaps the child. Interestingly, when we leave the month of Av, the very next month is known as Elul. Elul is a mnemonic for Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. And it's a day that Hashem shows us, it's a time, the month that Hashem shows us that He's close to us, and He wants to hear our prayers, He wants to listen to us, and we show our love by praying to Him and by trying to change our ways and by becoming better people, which leads us on to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. But interesting that we go from Av, a time of the harsh parent, the slap, to a time of Elul, the closeness and the love. Rabbi Shimshon Pincus explained this also with an interesting parable. I said this parable over once to my children and they didn't like it, but I think I understood it better this time when I was thinking about it. So if any of my children are listening, you can call me back and tell me if you like it better this time. There's a father whose son refuses to have anything to do with him. Doesn't want to give him a hug, doesn't want to talk to him, doesn't want to sit with him, doesn't want to share his time with him, doesn't want to tell him what's going on in his life. You could say it's a typical American teenager. And the father, it's hurting the father, and here was my mistake. All I said when I told my children was, it's hurting the father. But it's hurting the father for a reason, because the father knows his child needs a relationship with me, and needs my guidance, and needs to feel close so they know to come to me. But nothing the father says will help. So he tries an interesting ruse. He dresses himself up in a very scary bear costume and sneaks out the back door and comes around to the front and bursts into the house, and the kid starts screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, it's a bear!" The kid's running around the house to find Daddy in tears, hysterical. Father quickly runs back door, pulls off the costume, and is standing there, and the son runs into his arms. And the father gives him a big protective hug. And he says, "I'm here for you. And I will always be here for you. And I've always been here for you." And from there, they make the relationship. That's the month of Av and the month of Elul. The month of Av, God's wearing the scary bear costume, so to speak. We're remembering the tragedies and the destructions. And then we come into Elul. And God's standing there with his arms open. No more talking about tragedies and destruction. Let's just talk about how we can be close again. Let's just talk about how I can help you and show you how to do the right thing. John.